day, dear students. My name is Ms. Zwane for ACI2607, Teaching, Reading, and Viewing. And in this recording, we will be focusing on the reading process, which is your learning unit 4. By the end of the lesson, we hope to have achieved the following learning outcomes: discussing the complexity of reading, explaining the reading process, identifying each stage of the reading process, and designing activities for each of the reading process stages. Let's start by looking at the complexity of reading. Reading is quite a complex exercise. Apart from recognizing words on paper, the reader should also be able to make meaning of text, make connections with the different parts of the text, relate the text to previous experiences, and interrogate the text by asking questions about the text. And when we look at the different stages of the reading process, you will see how you can get your learners to engage with text at these different levels. When reading, you become involved in the text as you read. So it's not just the passive exercise, it requires active engagement from the reader. You make predictions, you identify main ideas, you deduce certain information, you agree, and sometimes you can disagree with the ideas as presented in the text. You also construct meaning and you form opinions from reading the text. Other writers agree that good readers must do some extra activities in order to comprehend a text. They should connect new text with past experiences, which is their background knowledge or their prior knowledge. They should interpret, evaluate, synthesize, and consider alternative interpretations of the text. And all these are possible if the teacher introduces reading through following the reading process, as you will later find out in the later slides. The reading process has 3 stages. We have the pre-reading phase, which is the orientation phase. Here, the teacher wants to prepare the learner for the text at hand, set the tone for the reading, activate prior knowledge, and establish learner expectations. We also have the during reading phase. This is the actual reading of the text, and it requires that we read with comprehension. So the teacher aims to build understanding of the text through a variety of exercises, which we will look at in the later slides. And then you also have the after reading phase. And in this phase, you reflect on the text and evaluate the text. Did the text address all your expectations? As per the pre-reading phase, you would have had expectations. Did it answer all the questions that you had in the pre-reading phase? Did it leave you with more questions than you had before reading? Do you actually understand the text that you have just read? And those are all the questions that we answer or we address during the after reading phase. So, in essence, before reading, like I've just mentioned, which is our pre-reading phase, it is regarded as the orientation stage of reading. At this stage, the teacher should use activities that stimulate the learner's interest and curiosity and help them to anticipate the text. So you ask them questions about what they expect in the text. You ask them questions about their own prior knowledge. Do they have an idea? Or if it's a book about animals, have they seen such animals? Do they know what type of animals those are? Are those domestic animals or are they wild animals? So you try and activate the learner's prior knowledge so that they connect with the text at hand. During the reading phase, then follows next. In this stage, the aim should be on building comprehension, building an understanding of the text. During this stage, the teacher should aim to complete activities which aim to assess the learner's understanding of the text. Then there is after reading. After reading activities allow learners to respond to the text, to evaluate the content, and to relate these to their own experiences. At this stage, learners are reflecting on the text. Now, if we look further into the reading process, like we've just previously discussed on the previous slide, before reading is your pre-reading phase. And the pre-reading is regarded as the orientation stage of reading. At this stage, the teacher should use activities that stimulate the learner's interest and curiosity, help them to anticipate the text. So here you want to tap into the learner's prior knowledge. If you're reading a book about animals, identify whether learners have seen these kinds of animals. Identify if learners know these animals. Can they classify them in terms of domestic animals or wild animals? So you try and find out as much as you can what the learner already knows, which they can identify in the text, and connect the text with their own prior knowledge. And then you have the during reading phase, which is the next phase that follows. Once we have set the tone in the pre-reading phase, or set the stage in the pre-reading phase and prepared the learners for the text at hand, then what follows is the during reading phase. In this stage, the aim should be on building comprehension or building understanding of the text. During this phase, the teacher should aim to complete activities which aim to assess the learner's understanding of the text. Then you have the after reading phase, where activities should allow learners to respond to the text, to evaluate the content, and to relate these to their own experiences. At this stage, learners are reflecting on the text. During the three phases, or during the three stages of reading, the aim should be to teach learners reading strategies that will enable them to implement the stages automatically when they read. Because essentially, what we are trying to achieve as teachers teaching reading, we want to get learners to a point where they read with comprehension. These strategies can help learners not to give up on their reading when they get confused in the text. So teachers should guide the learners to understand that reading is an interactive process. While decoding the words, you also ought to derive meaning from those words, make inferences, and link with prior knowledge. Now, let's have a look at some of the activities or strategies that are included in the pre-reading phase. The duty of the teacher in this phase is to set the stage, like I've already mentioned. Learners are orientated into the text. So some of the strategies that the teacher can use is to activate background knowledge, which is the learner's prior knowledge, because we are of the understanding that learners are not just passive receivers of knowledge. As they come into the classroom, they come with their own ways of knowing. They come with their own prior knowledge, and you always need to tap into that which the learner already knows, and try to link that with which you want to introduce to the learner. Look at the source. This is some of the things that you can do. Look at the source, the author, and the publication date of the book, if it's a book that you are reading. Reading the first and the last paragraphs of the section can also help learners make inferences about what they can expect, or what, in summary, the book is about. Make predictions, and also anticipate what they can expect, and also have questions in their mind that they would like answered in the text. Make predictions. I've also included here on the link, you can just copy this link onto YouTube and watch this very good example of an English first additional language teacher setting the stage for her learners in a classroom prior reading a particular book. Then there's the during the reading phase. Here, reading with comprehension is very important. And during the reading phase, it is your task as the teacher to make sure that all learners understand what they are reading. So some of the things that you can focus on is vocabulary building, because as the learners are reading, they will come across words that they do not understand. It's a nice way then to introduce a vocabulary building exercise where we identify the words that we are seeing for the first time. We can guess the meaning of the word by taking clues from the text, and then we look up the meaning of the word in a dictionary and compare our guessed meaning of the word to what the dictionary says the word actually means. It's a very nice way to get the learners engaged in the text and actually build towards comprehension. Continuously check for understanding. So you continuously stop and ask questions about the text just to make sure that all the learners are following, because this is an exercise that is inclusive. It should include all the learners, and all the learners, we need to ensure that at all times understand what the text is about. Using contextual clues to find meaning versus using dictionary to find meaning of the word, like I've just said. So the learner can look at the entire sentence and they can guess what the word means instead of just at first go looking for the meaning of the word from a dictionary. We can later on look for the meaning of the word in a dictionary just to ensure that the meaning that the learner thinks the word is actually is the one that is found in the dictionary, or just to ensure that the meaning that the learner has presented is actually the correct one. Identifying the way the text is structured, making inferences, and using metacognition to understand when reading. Then the last stage of the reading process is the post-reading stage. During the post-reading activities, learners need to reflect on the text they have read and do certain activities. They can write a summary to help clarify and recall main ideas. They can think about and write new questions they have on the topic. They can ask themselves questions they have accomplished. Have they accomplished the purpose of reading? Because at the beginning, they would have established the purpose of their reading. After the reading, has that purpose been accomplished? Understanding, confirm if they understand the text, and evaluate bias accuracy of and the accuracy of the text. These are just some of the activities that you can do with your learners in class post reading to ensure that everyone understands the text that has just been read. In conclusion, reading is an active process. When learners read with purpose, it helps them direct the activity towards a particular goal. Following the reading process allows a balanced approach in teaching reading, promotes comprehension, reduces learner anxiety throughout the reading process, and allows the teacher to support the learner appropriately. These are some of the sources that I've consulted in putting together this lesson, and thank you very much.